Hello guys, here's Benny. I want to show how to use Spout inside of Pixera to sending displays to Unreal via Spout or getting a camera from Unreal to Pixera. Spout is a texture sharing on the graphics card, so you have to make sure that Unreal and Pixera is running on the same machine, because Spout textures are not sending on the network. It's just internally on the graphics card. First of all, we have in Pixera, we have to add a display, call it receiver, go to mapping and put this display onto my capture card. You see in the bottom right part. Please make sure your version you use have Spout implemented. When you click on live on your local, you see Spout. If yes, then it's implemented in your version. If it's not there, then your version has no Spout. So you need to upgrade. So if we create a display, call it receiver, go to the composition, live inputs, local. I just see the direct show live input, not a Spout live input, because we didn't create a Spout sender yet. So for Spout, we can go to spout.zeal.co. It's an official Spout site. There you can download test applications to send and receive Spout, and there's a redirection for Unreal, where you can clone the code and put the plugin inside of Unreal. This plugin is working with these versions. It's also working with 4.24, but this version is not working on version 4.25. So if you're working on the latest version in Unreal, please go to Issues, any way to work with 4.25, and you have to change 3 lines in the Spout example character.cpp, and then it's also working in the latest Unreal version. At the moment we wait that the plugin is that they updated the plugin. So if you take a look on the description of the plugin, you see what you have to do. But we will go through it. So I start Unreal Engine 4.25.1, the latest one. Create a new game, first person, test Pixera Spout. And when the game is created, save it and close it. Go to your Documents folder, to Unreal Projects. There you can see the test Pixera Spout folder we created. Open it, right click, create a new folder, call it Plugins. Download the plugin and put all the files inside of the Plugins folder. If you use the latest version, make sure you make the changes before. So I have a folder where I did it already. Put it inside in the plugins folder and start your application. Go to Edit Plugins and be sure when you scroll down that in your project Spout is inside and it's enabled. If it's not enabled, please enable it and restart Unreal. So, first of all, we want to send out the camera to Pixera. So for this, we have to create a render target, texture to write on. So right click on your content browser, material, textures, render target. Call it Spout Out 1. Double click on it, and you have a size X and a size Y. So we want to send full HD. So when you make these steps and your quality is not good, please make sure you have the right size on your render target. Save it. And now click on your camera. Go to Edit First Person Blueprint or Edit Blueprint. Open Blueprint Editor. We don't need the event graph, we just need the viewport. Make it bigger. Add a component, 2D scene capture component. Call it Spout camera, and put this camera on top of the first person camera. So when you move the first person camera, the Spout camera is moving too. And when we now go to location, type in 0, 0, 0. It's on the same position like the first person camera. So when we go to scene capture, we have a texture target to render on. We take our Spout Out 1 texture render target. If you didn't create one, you can press create new assets render target. I will use the one we created before. Go to capture source, and we don't want the scene color, we want the final color in RGB. Hit compile, and when everything is working, close it. And you should see, when you open the render target, the scene, the capture from the scene from the camera. So now we have to create a Spout sender. So go to Blueprints, open Level Blueprint, right click to create a new node. You need an event tick. And a Spout sender. So we don't create only a Spout sender, we need to close it when we exit the application. So we need an event end play. So when we exit the application, we want to close the Spout sender, that it's not in the background on anymore, because otherwise you have huge performance problems if you hit a few times play and stop. So for the Spout sender, we don't want to send the game viewport, we want to send the texture render target. You can click on the arrow to take your texture render target, or take it from the content browser, drag and drop it onto your texture render target 2D. Next one is create a name. At the moment we have a Spout name called none and a close sender called none. It must be the same. You have to be sure that it's the same, otherwise you can't close the sender, the right sender. So you can type in out 1 and out 1, or use a variable for that. Just create a variable, Spout Out 1. The type should be a name. At the moment we can't put any changes inside, so you have to compile first, and now we can camera 1. And when we take it, drag and drop it into the event graph, make a get spout out. We can connect it to the close sender and spout sender. Now it's the same name. You don't have to make sure that we spell it in the right way. When we hit compile, everything is fine. We can hit play, and when we go to Pixera, on the live inputs we see a spout live input, camera 1, and when I drag it onto my timeline or my screen, you should see on the bottom right part the screen what I see at the moment inside of Unreal. When I quit Unreal, the live input is deleting, so every time you open Unreal and close it, your game, you have to reassign it on your timeline. If your frame rate is dropping when Unreal is not on the front, please make sure to go to Edit, Editor Preferences, Performance, and this here is use less CPU in the background. When it's on, then the frame rate is dropping when Unreal is not on focus. So this is a spout sender from Unreal to Pixera. Now the other way, we want to send a screen from Pixera to Unreal. For this, you can go to Mapping, Spout, and add a spout output stream. Give it a name, text 1, and when you rename your spout out, please hit deactivate your output and activate it again, otherwise it will not work. I create a new screen. It's my sending screen. Route it to the spout out. Put some test content on it and put it in free run. So this is everything I have to do inside of Pixera. In Unreal, we have to create a plane. Make it a little bit bigger. And create spout receiver. For this, go to Blueprints, Open Level Blueprint. Type in spout. And we want to use a spout receiver. Again, it's a little bit strange that we need a close sender again, but to make sure that the ports are closing and everything on the background is closed, even for a spout receiver, you need a close sender. Same like the spout sender, we need the name. We call it Pixera Pix1. Again, you can use a variable or type in the name directly. Please make sure it's the same on both. And now we can use two ways to get the spout texture or material. So the easiest way is the material. For this, we make sure that our plane has focus, click right click, create a reference to plane. So this is a reference to the plane we created. Type in materials, scroll down, to set material. We have to activate it and set a material. So just take material from the Spout receiver, put it to the material from the set material. Hit compile, close, play, and we see our Pixera input. If you want to change things like emission color, roughness, or things inside of a material, it's easier to just get the texture, not the whole material, from the Spout receiver. And in my tests, I saw that the performance is better when you use just the texture and not the whole material. So for that, we hit right click, create a new material, call it Pix1 material, make a second plane. For this I just copy and paste the one I already have, drag and drop my material on my plane, double click on my material and see all the functions I have. For the first one, we just use the base color. For this, right click, type in para, and take the texture sample parameter 2D, give it a name, texture, take the RGB to the base color, save it. You see the texture when we hit play, it's not changed by the texture coming inside on the Spout side. So we have to route the texture from Spout to this material. For this, we open blueprints, open level blueprint, same like before. I have to click on my plane, right click and create a reference to this plane. Now I have to create a dynamic material instance. Activate it. My source material is my material I created for. And the return value, we want to set texture parameter value. There we have a value and the parameter name. The value is our texture we want to change. And the parameter name, you have to be sure that here I call it texture, you have to spell it exactly the name, it's the same. Hit compile, is everything working, click on play, and we see both are the same. Why I should use the texture and not the whole material? Because when you want to change things inside of the material, it's easier to just use the texture from Spout and not the whole material. So for this, as an example, if I double click on my texture, don't use the base color, I use the emissive color, and it's more like an LED wall. When I delete all the lightning parts in my scene, start the scene again, I see this plane is dark because there are no lights, and this one is lighting up because it's self-emissive. For the receiver, I just before you have every time you hit play and exit the game, you have to take your camera, put it onto your layer, that you see the scene. That is the fastest and easiest way to combine Unreal and Pixera with Spout. If you have questions, let me know. Have fun.